The English language consists of thousands of words. To be able to speak, read, and write good English, one has to have a strong vocabulary. A thorough knowledge of word meanings helps in understanding what one is hearing or reading. It also helps us use words accurately in speaking and writing. We come across many words whose meaning we are not aware of. Therefore, as students, we need to be able to determine the meaning of words that are new to us. We also need to develop effective word learning strategies to help us understand better. In English grammar, there are two ways of presenting thoughts and ideas. They are the active voice and the passive voice. These are commonly used in writing. As a writer, it is important to make your writing clear and appealing. In this lesson, you will learn more about the two voices as well as word building and learning strategies. We will begin with the active and passive voice. Look at these sentences. The lion attacked the deer. The deer was attacked by the lion. You will notice that the two sentences convey the same meaning, yet they are different. What is the difference? Yes, the two sentences have been written differently. Look at the first sentence again. The lion attacked the deer. It is a complete sentence. The form of the verb attacked shows that the subject, that is the lion, had done something to another something or someone, in this case, the deer. We say that the verb is in the active voice because it was the subject that did something. We can now conclude that when the verb shows that the subject of the sentence does the action, then that verb is said to be in the active voice. The focus of the sentence is on the subject and what is done by that subject. Let's look at the second sentence. The deer was attacked by the lion. Now, the sentence is about the deer. In this case, the deer is the one upon which the action takes place. Note that in the passive voice, the preposition by precedes the object. We say that the verb is in the passive voice because the subject has been passive in the action. We can now conclude that when the verb in a sentence indicates that the subject is passive, then the verb is said to be in the passive voice. Let us look at a few more examples of sentences that are in both types of voices. Pay attention to the placement of each of the following: the subject, the verb, and the object in each kind of voice.
I washed the car.
The car was washed by me.
Mrs. Sandra teaches us English.
English is taught to us by Mrs. Sandra.
The audience will love his performance.
His performance will be loved by the audience.
Who rang the bell?
By whom was the bell rung? Facilitators, please pause the video at this point so students may study the same table from their booklets. Discuss your thoughts and observations with your partner, students. Let us now make a list of the things that must have come to mind when you looked at the two sets of sentences. The subjects in the active voice sentences are the doers of the action. The persons or things that are acted upon are the objects. In the sentence that is in active voice, the subject becomes the focus. In the sentence that is in passive voice, the things or persons that are acted upon become the focus. The passive verb phrases normally consist of a form of the verb to be followed by a past participle. Active and passive voice sentences can exist in any tense. In the sentence that is in active voice, the order of the elements is subject, verb, object. In the sentence in the passive voice, the order of the elements is object, verb, subject. We will now see how the verb is changed in the passive voice with regard to the tenses. Converting to the passive form in any tense is easy because the main verb is always in the past participle form and the auxiliary verb is always a variation of the verb be. For example, in the simple present,
it is washed.
in the present continuous,
It is being washed.
in the present perfect,
It has been washed.
Here are some examples with most of the possible tenses with the verb opens. The active voice sentence in the simple present tense
She opens the door.
becomes
The door is opened by her.
in the passive voice. The active voice sentence in the present continuous tense
She is opening the door.
becomes
The door is being opened by her.
in the passive voice. The active voice sentence in the present perfect tense
She has opened the door.
becomes
The door has been opened by her.
in the passive voice. The active voice sentence in the simple past tense
She opened the door.
becomes
The door was opened by her.
in the passive voice. The active voice sentence in the past continuous tense
She was opening the door.
becomes
The door was being opened by her.
in the passive voice. The active voice sentence in the past perfect tense
She had opened the door.
becomes
The door had been opened by her.
in the passive voice.
She will open the door.
Is in the active voice. It is in the simple future tense. Let us now see how this changes in the passive voice.
The door will be opened by her.
Now you do the last one. Say it with us.
She would have opened the door.
This sentence was in the active voice. It is in the future perfect tense. Can you say it now in the passive voice? That's correct.
The door would have been opened by her.
It is important to note here that there are some kinds of sentences that cannot be changed into the passive form. Let us now look at some such examples.
You sing beautifully.
The sun rises in the east.
The boy fell down.
The dog ran. Why can these sentences not be changed into the passive form? Remember, in the passive voice, the object is the focus of the sentence. The order of the elements is object, verb, subject. Can you find the object in this sentence? You sing beautifully. How about in this sentence? The sun rises in the east. Can we write a sentence that focuses on the object when there is no object in the first place?
We cannot write a sentence that focuses on the object when there is no object in the first place.
A good question to ask ourselves at this point is, when do we use the active and passive voice? It is preferable to use the active voice in writing when you need to create clear and direct sentences. On the other hand, the passive voice is used mostly for formal writing. Writers use the passive voice when the object or the doer of the action is not clear or is vague. Scientists, government agencies, newspaper reporters, and large companies specifically use the passive voice for writing. We will now study word building strategies. Word building strategies include using information about word parts to figure out the meanings of words in text. Using context clues to determine word meanings. and using dictionaries and other reference aids to learn word meanings and to expand knowledge of word meanings. You will learn the process by which words can be built. This process will help in strengthening your vocabulary. What do we know about words? How are new words formed? We will be able to answer this question by learning about word parts. Word parts include affixes, which include prefixes and suffixes, base words, and word roots. Affixes are word parts that are attached to either the beginning of words, which are prefixes, or at the end of words, which are suffixes. A prefix is an affix that is attached to the beginning of a word. A suffix is an affix that is attached to the end of a word. For example, the word bi-weekly has two affixes. Bi, which is a prefix, and li, which is a suffix. Base words are words from which many other words are formed. For example, many words can be formed from the base word migrate.
Migration, immigrant, migrant, migrating, immigration, migratory.
Root word. The smallest part of a word from which new words can be built up through the addition of affixes is called the root word. The root word usually has a specific meaning as opposed to affixes that are attached to it. For example, the word sweet can have affixes added to it to form new words. Sweeter, sweetest and sweetness. The root is the item that remains when you remove all other attachments from a complex word. Let us look at another example. Taking the word underdeveloped, if we remove all the affixes, under and id, develop is what remains. It cannot be divided further into meaningful parts. Therefore, the word develop is the root word. You have understood by now that words are composed of various elements. The English language consists of innumerable words which are neither derived nor combined or even developed from other languages. Such words are known as primary words. In other words, such words are not derived from any other language, and they belong to the original group of words of the language. Here are some examples of primary words.
Head, food, name, good,
Compound words. Compound words are formed when two or sometimes three words are put together to form a single word. For example,
basketball,
blackboard,
earmark,
wallpaper,
loudspeaker,
waylay. We may also combine more than two words. For example,
mother-in-law,
editor-in-chief,
merry-go-round,
If you look at the examples carefully, you will find that compound words mostly consist of nouns, adjectives, and verbs. Let us now break up these words and analyze them. Basketball consists of two nouns, basket plus ball.
Wallpaper consists of two nouns, wall plus paper.
Blackboard consists of an adjective and a noun, black plus board.
Loudspeaker consists of an adjective and a noun, loud plus speaker.
Earmark consists of a noun and a verb, ear plus mark.
Waylay consists of a noun and a verb, way plus lay.
There are a number of ways to form compound words in combination. More examples are given in Annexure 1 to this reference reading booklet. Primary derivatives. Another type of word formation is the derivative. A common and popular process of word formation in the English language is the use of the derivatives to form new words from already existing ones. For example, we get bond from bind. We get thief from thieve. Here are some examples of the formation of nouns from verbs. The verbs
Lose, prove, speak, live, grieve.
go along with the nouns
Loss, proof, speech, life, grief.
Let us now look at some examples of the formation of nouns from adjectives. The adjectives
Beautiful, excited, thirsty.
give the nouns
Beauty, excitement, thirst.
derivatives help to make different forms of a single word that can be used in different contexts. For more examples, look into your textbook. secondary derivatives. Secondary derivatives are formed by adding certain characters to the beginning or the end of a root word. For example, un plus able makes unable.
A plus sleep makes asleep.
Fear plus less makes fearless. You can see the most common way of building new words in the language is by using affixes. An affix that is joined before a root word is known as a prefix. Examples of prefixes are for,
Forecast.
un,
Untie.
dis,
Disappear.
miss,
Mislead.
with,
Withdraw.
An affix attached to the end of a root word is known as a suffix. For example, Lee is attached to the end of the word bold.
Boldly.
Full is attached to the end of the root word joy.
Joyful.
Ness attached to the end of the word sweet,
Sweetness.
and N attached to the end of the root word strength.
Strengthen.
A list of common prefixes in the English language is given in Annexure 3. The list of common suffixes is given in Annexure 4. Let us now review what you have learnt in today's lesson. In this lesson, you have learned the difference between active and passive voice. You have learned how to use the active voice or passive voice to improve the overall effectiveness of your writing. You understood the purpose of word building and identified the process of word building. You also identified the process of forming compound words. It is recommended that you do extensive reading and learn to adopt different styles of writing and also build up your vocabulary. This in turn will help you write more effectively. you.